and if I'm right about any of this,
Yeah.
war is where it breaks, where the base then says to Trump, "No, brother, we told you anti-war. We didn't go tell you to help Israel invade Iran. No,
I'm
no,
not
no."
even sure about this. And I think this is really, I don't know that this is an ideological disagreement. I just don't know that we're on agreement on the facts. I'll give you a counterexample to what you're talking about.
So David Pakman can't stand what Cenk Uygur just did. And if you're not aware, Cenk just went around and made a bunch of appearances on a bunch of conservative MAGA channels, is what he calls them. And David Pakman is maybe jealous, but at the same time, he's going to do to Cenk what the left does to each other in an attempt to, cancel them for wrongthink, for speaking to the others. And Cenk Uygur is going to obviously defend himself, but the way he does it is completely out of touch. So let's have a look at David Pakman going at Cenk Uygur over his appearances on conservative media channels. But before we do, allow me to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling in your stomach when you heard that a company you trust has announced a data breach involving your personal information? I had that experience a while back, and it really made me reflect on just how vulnerable we can be. A few years ago, I received an email from a popular online retailer I frequently shopped at. The subject line read, "Important Security Update." My heart raced as I clicked on it, and my worst fears were confirmed. They had experienced a data breach that compromised the personal information of millions of users, including mine. They detailed how hackers had accessed sensitive data, including full names, addresses, dates of birth, and most alarmingly, social security numbers. In that moment, I felt a mix of anger and panic. How could this happen to me? I had trusted this company. I immediately started to think about the potential consequences. What if someone used my information to open a credit card in my name? What if I became a victim of identity theft? This incident was a wake-up call for me, and it highlighted the importance of having solid protection against identity theft. That's when I discovered this video's sponsor, Aura. And let me tell you, it has been a game changer. Aura is a fantastic tool to help protect your personal information and keep your identity safe. Aura provides comprehensive identity theft protection features that monitor your data across billions of data points, including the dark web and public records. One of the most compelling aspects of Aura is their identity theft protection. They alert you if your social security number or other personal information is found in potentially compromised areas. If anything suspicious happens, you can rest easy knowing that every adult on the account, up to 5 people, receives $1 million in identity theft insurance to help cover eligible losses and expenses. This is a total of up to $5 million in coverage. If you're as concerned about your personal information as I am, I highly recommend trying out Aura. You can go to my link at aura.com/America to get a 14-day free trial and see if any of your personal data has been exposed. It's a fantastic opportunity to take control of your online security. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches and brokers. If you don't want to either, check out Aura. With their suite of protection features, you can safeguard your identity and keep your information private. Remember, the internet can be a dangerous place, but with tools like Aura, you don't have to face it alone. Thanks for watching, and be sure to click the link in the description to start your free trial today.
I do want to talk a little bit about the whole look at how they've changed. And one of the things that during your appearance with Charlie Kirk that got some attention and that you focused in on as well is, look, they're booing Mitch McConnell and they're booing Dick Cheney. That you wouldn't have seen that in the past. I'm skeptical about reading too much into that for the following reason. I don't think they have any real idea why they're booing or they're not booing. Or what I mean is the following. Trump and Charlie Kirk right now are benefiting from saying we're different from the establishment, we're different from McConnell and Cheney or whatever. If they do a 180 on that today, at next week's AmFest, Charlie Kirk just leads the crowd in a cheer of Mitch McConnell. We got him back, guys. I don't think there's anything real about that. I think it's just something that they've decided we're going to say to create a distinction, whether there is a difference or not. So I'm worried about reading too much into they booed McConnell, because next week they'll cheer him if someone says to Trump, now we cheer McConnell. You may agree, you may disagree. Let me then do the part 3 of kind of where my mind is on this. I would argue that whether or not they cheer McConnell or whatever, even if we agree about the problem, the risk of the populist rhetoric as a uniting force is that the solutions are different, even if we agree on the problem. So I'll give you an example. You, I, some of the people at AmFest, we're worried about the power of the establishment and elites, the recalcitrant centers of power that are corrupt, and we're sick of them and all of that. We would identify the problem with almost the exact same language that the crowd at AmFest would. The problem is when you say, okay, left-wing populist, what's your solution? We talk about social democracy, curbing corporate power, using regulations. They will still say the solution is tax cuts for the rich and corporations and all the same stuff. So my instinct is, and tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear, I'm open to having my mind change. My thought is, even if we really were in agreement about the problem, once we get to solutions, we're not even at all on the same page.
No, I think you are wrong. And it's very understandable because what you're describing is exactly what's happened throughout history, right?
Okay.
So that's the media and political ecosystem that we all grew up in. So again, that's why I understand people's concern. Like, whoa, wait, no way. All the Republicans I've known my whole life are immovable, right? And all they're ever going to do is corporate tax cuts and tax cuts for the rich. So here's where it's really important to do nuance and understand the new landscape.
Okay, tell me.
So first of all, on Mitch McConnell and Dick Cheney, no, they loathe them. You guys are wrong in thinking that it's a trick. I've now talked to hundreds, maybe thousands of MAGA guys. They're not, forget the hosts. When I talk to the individuals, the actual voters, the base, they have no incentive to lie. Have you ever met a MAGA guy?
Yeah. I don't think they're lying. I just think it's been several years of MAGA saying we don't like these guys, so they're on board. But if that changes, they'll just change their minds.
No, they won't. So let me explain why I think that they won't. Okay. So look, in the beginning, it starts exactly as you're saying, David, which is Trump goes, I don't like Mitch McConnell for whatever crazy reason popped into his head at the time. Yep. And his wife is Coco Chow, and weirdo racist things against Elaine Chao, right? Yep. Not that I like Elaine Chao, I think she's terrible establishment figure, but you don't need to go racist on it.
Yeah, so, the problem isn't that she's Asian.
Yeah, that's definitely not the problem, right? So I know where it started, and so you're not wrong about that. But now they genuinely hate the corruption, and they could explain. So when I say like, oh, Mitch McConnell, they don't, when I get into the longer discussions, AmFest was really tiny, right? When you get into a 3-hour conversation on Patrick Bet-David or Tim Pool show or whatever, they all go, no, I know. He takes $1 billion from corporate donors and serves corporate donors. For the last 10, 20 years, as you know, definitely not 10, longer than 15, 20 years, David, as you know, my main thing is get money out of politics and the corruption, bring back democracy. And so whenever I talk to Democrats and I told them, well, Nancy Pelosi taking $1 billion is also corruption, they go, no way, she's an angel and you're a monster for saying that. And whenever I went to talk to the right wing, they'd say, yeah, Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's an angel and you're a monster for saying he isn't. Now, when I go to the right wing, they go, no, you're totally right. And it's not just because he's opposed to Trump. It's because of the money that he takes from this donor class. Okay. So, and Dick Cheney, they genuinely hate the wars. They don't want wars. And that I know that is so fundamentally different than the Republican Party we grew up with that loved wars, right? So now when you go to the Hegseths and the Stefaniks of the world, David, that's where you get into a really interesting dynamic. Now, in the beginning, Trump is not his base. Trump's not going to come out and go, oh my God, guys, I've seen the light, right? And I'm not going to serve Elon Musk or Miriam Adelson or Tim Mellon or any of these guys or the oil companies. No, what's he doing? He's saying drill, baby, drill, because the oil companies gave him a ton of money. He gave domestic policy to Elon Musk and foreign policy to Miriam Adelson. So why does Stefanik and Hegseth and all those guys, they're hardcore. Mike Wall's a giant neocon. Yes. Why are they in the Trump administration? Because Trump's doing what every politician does, kissing the ass of his donors, and that's how he's going to start. And if his base doesn't challenge him, that's how he's going to end.
Did the base challenge him last time? Like, what evidence do we have this time they'll challenge him?
So according to David Pakman, anybody that's MAGA isn't lying. They're just stupid, right? And let me explain to you why Trump wasn't challenged very often in the first 4 years by his supporting base. It's because we were forced to defend Donald Trump at every turn from leftist lies and attacks. Had they just let Trump function, we could have called him out properly instead of trying to pursue these witch hunts. They started off with Russian collusion. Then they impeached him twice, which didn't go through the final stages of approval. Then, all at the same time, they were literally sticking a telescope up everyone's butt that surrounded Donald Trump, right? So let's not get it confused. We were defending Trump from leftist attacks. But when it did come down to Trump signing that COVID bill, a lot of people on the right said, no, we don't want it. There's too much pork involved, and we don't need this, stimulus bailout package. And then following that, with Project Warp Speed, a lot of his base disagreed. So let's not be confused. Let's not lose sight of who the actual cult is, which is the left. And let's just be honest here. The Republicans of old aren't MAGA, right? And it took Cenk Uygur nearly 8 years to understand that people in MAGA don't like the neocons and never have. We don't like the Mitch McConnells. We don't like the Lindsey Grahams. We never have. So as much as I appreciate Cenk Uygur trying to defend MAGA against David Pakman here, he's still off base. I mean, just with his timeline at least. But let's go ahead and continue.
So that's what I'm getting to. So, David, you're right. In the first term, which now was a long time ago,
Yep.
The base didn't challenge him at all. Okay. If Trump said something, they parroted it and it was over. Right.
Yep.
Now, when I go on those shows or I put on X, hey, you know that Rubio, Stefanik, Walz, and Huckabee are neocons and they're going to try to drive you into war. Wall of thousands of comments. You're totally right. We're worried about it. We trust Trump. Let's see how it goes. But we got an eye out for it. Like, they're totally aware that they're neocons and they don't like it. So Hegseth is a different animal because he's partly neocon and partly like meathead. And they like the aggro part of Hegseth and the military part.
Yep.
But they're not going to like the neocon part. And if I'm right about any of this, war is where it breaks. Where the base then says to Trump, no, brother, we told you anti-war. We didn't go tell you to help Israel invade Iran. No.
I'm not even sure about this. And I think this is really, I don't know that this is an ideological disagreement. I just don't know that we're on agreement on the facts. I'll give you a counterexample to what you're talking about. Yesterday, Trump does this crazy press conference at Mar-a-Lago. During this press conference, it was like 30 minutes long. He suggested taking Greenland and the Panama Canal with military force, taking Canada with economic force, and unleashing hell on Gaza, or allowing hell to be unleashed. That doesn't sound very anti-war. And when you look on the truth socials and everywhere else, it's people defending it, memes about all of the Americas in an American flag. They kind of seem to be just lining up behind whatever he says. I just am not seeing what you're seeing.
And you never will, David Pakman, even though you go into these conversations saying, we need to have a good faith conversation, and I'm willing to learn. Well, Cenk just broke it down to you, although I disagree with some of his points, and you still couldn't come to some kind of understanding. I don't know if you ever will, probably not. And when it comes to those maps that people were posting to X that showed Canada and Greenland all being a part of the United States, part of it was, humor. The other part was just for a visual representation, to be open to having the conversation or not, to allow the good ideas to rise to the top, the bad ideas to fall to the bottom and be shunned, just like they should. We say, what are the benefits of bringing Greenland into a United States economy? What are the pros and cons of bringing in Canada into our economy? And personally, for me, an America First type individual, I am not that excited about bringing in a heavily left-leaning parliament from Canada into the college electorate. I mean, simply said, Canada's broke down into 4 different provinces. It would probably just hypothetically mean that 4 new states would be added, and then Greenland would maybe be a 5th if that was the case. And I don't want 4 new states to have college electoral power that are led by a bunch of woke left Democrats that are just as bad or worse than the ones we see in California right now. And I don't see that being a necessity to our national security. We're never going to allow China to set up in Canada or Greenland, right? So I think it's dumb to even entertain those ideas. In my opinion, it's a waste of time. Maybe it's a long-term goal. And for Trump, he's just kind of taking the initial steps to maybe 10, 15 years down the road, bringing Greenland in as a state or under the United States protection or control or whatever, because they are an environment that is rich in resources. And we don't want that to go to one of our enemies. But, for now, the mandate that the people have set to Donald Trump in this last 2024 election is that we want deportations. We want a safe, strong American economy. And focusing on places like Greenland, the Panama Canal, Canada, don't seem to fit that mandate, in my opinion. But you let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm willing to have the discussion over the pros and cons of all three of those potential options. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video. Also, I'll remind you that you can catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with the Jar Openers podcast. If you want to join the Discord, the link is down in the description. Other than that, thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video.